Speak about failure. You're good at it. That's what my mentor, Stefan Sagmeister, said to me when I asked him what I should talk about here. He added, "Do you have the courage?" I said to my daughter, Karina, "I'm thinking about doing a talk called How I Have Failed. What do you think?" She paused and then said, "You could do that, but you'd have to include all 4 kids and mom." Thank you, Karina. I then screwed up my courage and went to my wife, Cynthia. She said, "Well, you've had lots of practice, and you can also include all the family and all the friends that you've alienated over the years." At this point, the talk on failure was definitely off. So here we go. My family ran the general store in Cannington, Ontario, 997 souls. I was actually a very happy kid until I got to this place, the public school. In grade 1, I failed pencilmanship. Miss McDonald was a frustrated 46-year-old virgin. Some of you may have had a teacher like her. She took away my pencil and she said, "Son, I see a hoe in your future." As in field work. She didn't mean a girl from the red light district. I then attended high school. Things had improved. By then, I'd stopped crying all the way to school, but I was still failing. I literally wanted to die the day they told me I had to repeat grade 12. Failing in front of my whole world. This failure was not actually a true failure. The fact was, the new grade 12 girls were more susceptible to my charms than the previous group. I was still getting bad grades, but I was a social success. At 22, a rising star in the art world, commissioned to float this giant bubble over the door of the grand opening of the new art museum in Toronto. Just imagine, a giant helium truck comes all the way from Texas. The mayor, the press, the sponsors, all waiting to see this air sculpture afloat. It never left the ground. The helium all leaked out. My career was over. Failing grade 12 started to look like small potatoes. Time to move to the other side of the world. My father had a big part in my failure. Dyslexia hadn't been invented yet, so the only label they had for me was stupid. And Dad knew I wasn't stupid, and he was desperate for me to succeed. But his techniques needed a little work. Moving to the other side of the planet solved a lot of problems. No electricity, no telephone. The internet hadn't been invented yet. A telegram could take 3 days. I didn't cry the day I got the telegram of Dad's passing. My last image of him was shaking his fist at me as I drove off. I later realized that I'd been failing just to hurt him. And that was when I started failing forward. So the lesson I learned is that if you have a father and he's still alive, tell him how you really feel. Have an authentic conversation with him. Tell him you love him, because as you know, he's going to be gone for a long, long time. Bali, the beautiful paradise, one of the last intact cultures on the planet. Amazing artisans, building a jewelry business with my wife, Cynthia, from 6 people to 3,000. Amazing success at last. My dad's dream come true. And we were getting ready to retire. We sold our shares in the company. We decided to give back locally and build a green school for our kids. Chaos. 2008. We were crying. Many people were crying. The proceeds of 20 years of work gone in the twinkling of a market. The world as we knew it had ended. In the presence of this great loss, Green School was half built, 98 kids attending. No possible idea how to finish it or grow it. What was my fascination with schools? The first two experiences were a complete disaster, and now here we are with the third, spinning out of control. Any sane person would have shut it down. But I didn't want to disappoint the kids. I didn't realize how many people had bought into the dream. The commitment was already bigger than me. My friend Stefan suggested a TED Talk in Oxford. I thought TED was an airline. I prepared a talk about Green School and stood in front of a group of people like you, absolutely intimidated. I was about to talk about a school to educated people. Me, a complete academic failure. I told them about my Green School dream. I left out the failures. We've done a lot of outrageous things in our lives, and we said, okay, local, what does local mean? Local means that 20% of the population of the school has to be Balinese. And this was a really big commitment, and we were right. And people are coming forward from all over the world to support the Balinese Scholarship Fund because these kids will be Bali's next green leaders. Almost 700,000 people have now watched the talk. Some of them were so moved, they packed their bags and their kids and came to Green School, sometimes without giving their significant others much notice. Now let me tell you about the Green School. It's a dreaming place. Most schools are concrete boxes. Our school is made from bamboo. The kids at Green School aren't just studying sustainability, they are living it. They're actually transformed forever. Green School kids are happy. And we know happy kids are better learners. This has attracted parents who are deeply committed to holistic and practical education. Today we have 330 students in kindergarten through high school from 40 different countries. I believe Green School must be local. We are creating local green leaders for the future of Bali and the world. It's actually a green leader vortex. We needed a bridge to reach the school. We built this beautiful bridge from bamboo, the first one in Asia. It became the icon of the school. And then it was gone, ripped off its footings during a storm. Climate change in action. Climate change wipes out Green School Bridge. Some people believe this was karmic payoff for doing things differently. It hurt the school very badly. And then this happened. So much for climate change. We rebuilt the bridge. A group of people rallied by the chairman of the board funded it. Few people believed we could build this bridge. We lost it, we rebuilt it. It's beautiful. Come and walk across it with me in Bali and celebrate doing things differently. Things are looking better. Beautiful Bali. beautiful woman in my life. First date took many years to negotiate. My dream wife, 2 of my children, thriving at green school. Then the news arrived. Cynthia had decided to live in New York with the kids. Losing my children felt like the biggest failure of my life. Here I am, near financial failure, relationship failure, physical failure. My lowest point came when I was editing photos from a trip last year. There I was in the picture, a fat bugger who looked familiar to me, but I actually refused to recognize myself, so I simply deleted the pictures. It was time to stop failing myself. Miraculously, Dr. John arrived with his bacon and whiskey diet. It was not just bacon and a lot of whiskey, but it was baskets of vegetables and a lot of protein. After 4 days, I stood on that scale that had been flashing failure for 20 years. It was heading in the right direction at last. 2 months later, I walked out of my room and my pants fell off. I rediscovered my belt collection. I started smiling, and no matter what the failure guy threw at me, I keep smiling. On a recent trip to Milan, I went to a place I have loved and despised for 20 years. I love them for their massive creativity, but they refused to make anything that would fit around my body. This Etro coat that I'm wearing is a symbol of a kind. Failure can ultimately lead to success. Never give up, and what you need will appear. The body is smaller, but my life is much bigger. The thing that really changed is my perception of success and failure. I changed my approach to my body, and I've changed my approach to my life. I needed to change my approach with my children. I didn't want to become my father. My 2 youngest kids had moved to America, but the 2 older came back to Bali. I wasn't there much for Alora and Oren when they were little. Their mother obviously did an incredible job, and now they're back in my life. My son Oren graduated from college in America and said, "Dad, why didn't you make me study something that would lead to a job?" And I said to him, "Son, it's not about getting a job. It's about creating jobs that make a difference in the world." I realized I needed to allow them to fail so they can find their successes. He came back to Bali. Our small hotel had 5 gardeners hiding in the bushes somewhere. Oren transformed them into organic farmers. Productivity has quadrupled, and now they are a food-growing co-op who share in the profits. They are using every available spot. This is their parking farm. Growing passion fruit. You can actually do this at home. I may yet drive Oren away, but I've passed on a valuable lesson. Failure is as important as success, as long as you never give up. He's changing the way food gardens are perceived, and he's doing it with Miss McDonald's hoe. Alora, my eldest, graduated from art school, made it in the fashion world in New York. No small achievement for a woman. However, she was so inspired by what we'd built at Green School that she moved back to Bali to work with the bamboo designers and builders. Because Alora spent her childhood in Bali, she was well equipped to manage a large Indonesian team. Together, they are the future of sustainable bamboo architecture in the world. She founded her company, Ibuku, in 2010, and has since built 40 bamboo structures in the style of green school. I know what you have in your mind. This is what most people in the world think a bamboo house looks like. It's a real challenge to bring a sophisticated group like you, who are all masters of some universe, something they've never seen before, but here it is. Ibuku houses look like this. And it's not just new, it's a new frontier for an unlimited resource called bamboo. Alora is getting worldwide press, and the world seems hungry for bamboo. Local engineers and artisans are creating structures never made before, and I believe this is sustainable history. The children at Green School are happy. Their parents love living in bamboo houses just down the path from the school. So, there's an aerial view of Green Village. Green School was just the beginning. It's the heart of the community. One day there will be 108 bamboo homes around Green School. We only have 98 left to build. I'm in awe of these two kids. Neither of them graduated from Green School, but they were the inspiration for it. Both are dedicating their lives to projects that are so critically important to the future in the world and so difficult to pull off. Both have extraordinary courage to keep going in the presence of failure. As for me, my friend Failure seems to have gone surfing, but I'm sure he'll be back. It's not about failure, it's about my relationship with it. 7 years ago, founding the school, I made several promises that are finally falling into place. The first was taking Green School off the grid. These solar panels are successfully supplying 70% of the school's power. They flow across the Green School gardens like an Andy Goldworthy sculpture, and they're actually the roof of the chicken farm. A vortex takes the whole river, creating a whirlpool that spins a turbine. It creates electricity in only 2-meter drop, producing 10,000 watts of electricity, 24 hours a day. This project has been a 7-year sustained failure. Keep repeating, don't give up. It all started 7 years ago with a remarkable concept. The dam went in, the vortex design arrived, but the village decided it was not to be. Eventually, consensus was reached with the village, the dam got fixed, and the vortex is spinning again. The turbine has arrived, and with any luck this summer, it will be Asia's first vortex producing power. We're only inches away. It will be spinning like this. It will just look a lot better. The first of thousands of vortexes in Indonesia. I'm not going to be happy until we're selling power back to the grid. Now back to my second commitment. Catching up on the Balinese Scholarship Program. I made a promise of 20% local kids. We're now at about 10%. We've grown very quickly, but the scholarship fund has not. Next year, we want 80 out of the 400 kids at the school to be Balinese scholars. It's just an $850,000 commitment. You see, the Green School is bigger than me. It's bigger than success. It's bigger than failure. It seems to transcend everything. It's a vortex of energy that will keep spinning long after I'm gone, transforming the world. So the question remains, how does this unremarkable string of personal successes and failure become a legacy? I have made and lost fortunes. That's not what it's about. I'm sure that most of you have your own string of successes and failures, but what will your legacy be? What will they chisel in that tombstone? So, thank you, Miss McDonald, for the advice to get a hoe. Thanks, traditional education, for failing me. And thank you, Dad, for being so committed to my success. I have learned to survive outside the box by harnessing the power of both failure and success. Thank you.
Pour la période de questions, for the Q&A period, veuillez accueillir, please welcome Will Travis.
So we're going to do a few questions with John. But before I wanted to start and say thank you. I was one of the fortunate people that left the advertising industry to go and live in Bali, and had my eldest school be in the first graduating class. John's one of the most humble, as you can tell today, most connected, most inspiring people I've ever met. And you often don't get that by your humble nature. 17,000 children have been through Green School and Green Super Camp. How is it for people here that, you know, we live in the West, where Bali's just seen about bamboo and sort of discreet places in the middle of nowhere? What's it like getting over there? Is it possible for us to do that?
Well, we have people from 40 countries, and we have room for 500. With this year, we'll have 400, so there's room. And if you can't just pack up and leave and tell the boss that you're gone, you can come for Super Camp and Green Camp, which runs all year long. So there's opportunities for everybody to come and have a piece of this experience.
Awesome. We're going to open it up in a minute. If there's anybody who wants to ask a question, there's microphones just further down the hall. Can't see anybody yet. But something you didn't mention, and is personal connection of understanding you. Last year, while walking in Bali, you were hit on the head by a coconut and nearly killed, which is, you know, the chances of they say there's more chance of being hit on the head by a coconut than by eaten by a great white shark. How did that change your life?
I may be in such denial about that I didn't put it in the talk. But I was walking along with Cynthia ahead of me, and I heard, and I got hit in the eye with a coconut that bounced. I got knocked off a 24-foot cliff. I broke my ribs in 17 places, and I sat there beside the river. And in the old cowboy movies, when you spit up blood, you knew the guy was about to croak, and I was spitting up blood. So the whole family got there in about 10 minutes, and I was sitting there considering the end and wondering what I'd done. I survived. I'm very happy.
I can't actually see the microphones if there's people anywhere. Have we got any questions out there? So how has it changed your life? Did it change the way that you're operating? Did you have a whole different perspective on life that, you know what, I just had a one swipe?
I learned what pain was. I was in the hospital hallucinating on those drugs they give you. And I really reconsidered everything. It drove me forward. It was really bad luck to be hit by a coconut, but it was really good luck to survive. By the time I got to Singapore, I had 2 liters of blood in each lung, and it was really on the edge.
So you survived creating one of the world's most renowned jewelry companies, John Hardy. You've created an education institute that challenges the global education system, and you're getting a lot of weight behind it. And now you're reinventing the architectural world by building buildings from pure bamboo so that the green movement could really come to life, which has been the biggest challenge.
I've never worked a day in my life. It's, if you work, stop. If you just love it, making the jewelry was love. Making the school was love with fish hooks embedded in it. And the bamboo is just a dream. Absolutely a dream.
John Hardy, it's an honor. Thank you.
No questions? No, no questions. We have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were out of time. Go.
We got
take
time.
it.
Fast question.
You sort of answered my question by saying that everything you did was coming out of love, because you don't seem to have a big ego. You have a lot of personality, but you seem to really be at ease with being vulnerable. And that's what I find fascinating, because we're all here with our big ego, and my daughter said when I come here, I have to pimp myself up. And I was like, really? It's like, so I'd like you to just talk about how to deflate the egos. You seem to do it so well.
I was here last year, and I really did kind of walk quietly between the giant egos. But I'm really glad to be back and on the stage. And it's just a matter of believing that you can do it. Keep going, never give up. It's not about how big your ego is, it's about that word legacy. Thank you.
Thank you.